senior special assistants, and personal assistants to the President here present, our distinguished partners, distinguished Senator Ibrahim Hassan Hadeja, Deputy Chief of Staff, FCIB, and other members of the Council, especially single out the Honorable Minister,
Okay, thank you. I think Francis, maybe my next that is quite interesting here is with respect to the cities that you work with, because you do have several programs on the municipal level and the city level. I think for me, something that was quite interesting in the conversation, I would take her to really address DRM issues or just how to decarbonize the urban sector in
Minister of Livestock Development, the Honorable Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Architect Ahmed Musa Dengiwa, FNI, PICNG, Google Consulting, Ripples, PwC, Tree Supply Finance International, the Special Presidential Envoy on Climate Change of the National Council on Climate Farm Lab, Quintessence Environmental Consult, the national members of the organized private sector, esteemed members of the gentlemen of the press. I am and our village become our own undoing. And how could the same this is not a story of defeat, but today it is a story, and the earth itself will burn. The rivers will...
Both an honor and personal privilege to welcome you all on behalf of the DIN Summit Steering Committee to what we firmly believe is a historic convening, the Decarbonizing Infrastructure in Nigeria Summit 2025. This summit didn't happen by accident. It is a product of months of intense collaboration, spirited debate, sleepless nights, and a shared commitment to shaping Nigeria's climate-resilient infrastructure. I have had the privilege of working with a formidable team, each member bringing not only expertise, but an unrelenting passion for this cause. I want to begin by saluting the bold vision of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Under his renewed hope agenda, infrastructure has moved from political promise to tangible results. From the ongoing Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway to the modernization of key transport corridors, inland port revitalization, and renewed push to integrated energy access, we are witnessing a bold shift towards infrastructure that enables sustainable growth. Equally inspiring is my boss, His Excellency the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, GCON, whose strategic guidance and strong commitment to inclusive growth and socio-economic impact serve as a foundational anchor to climate action. His Excellency's belief in subnational leadership as key to driving innovation and scaling grounded solutions are instrumental to shaping the structure and spirit of this gathering. Today's summit is not just about emissions. It is about equity. It is about economic survival. It is about building a future where infrastructure does not burden the planet, but restores hope and empowers society, especially the young, the poor, and the marginalized. To our sponsors and partners, we say thank you for leading the charge in Nigeria's green transmission. Your commitment to this engagement reaffirms what we already know, that Nigeria's green transition is inevitable, scalable, and investable. Ahead of this summit, we hosted a series of pre-summit virtual workshops that brought together more than 300 stakeholders across the energy, transport, urban development, and agricultural sectors. What emerged from these engagements was clear. Nigeria is not lacking in ideas. We are rich in innovation, from climate-smart student housing in Nasarawa to solar-powered e-mobility in Kano to emerging circular economy hubs in the Federal Capital Territory. What we need now is the will, the capital, and the coordination to deliver at scale. Nigeria can be the lodestar for green infrastructure on the continent. We have the people, we have the plans, and with sustained commitment, we will attract the capital and deliver the projects. Once again, I welcome you all to the DIN Summit 2025. On behalf of the steering committee and all our partners, I wish you all fruitful deliberations and a productive outcome from today. Thank you, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Please, another round of applause for Mr. Mustapha, the personal assistant to the President on subnational infrastructure, a member of the steering committee. Thank you very much, Mr. Mustapha.
I welcome you to this summit. I'm grateful to all, each and every one of you who has taken time out of your busy schedule to be part of this conversation. Your presence signals a shared commitment to accelerate a climate resilient Nigeria. The fact that Nigeria, although her contribution to the global climate emissions is very minuscule, but the country is highly vulnerable to the impact of climate change just because of where we're located, Africa, the African continent, and very important because of our low adaptive capacity. This conversation cannot be overstated. Nigeria's high vulnerability is one of the primary reasons why we are having this conversation. Because business as usual cannot continue. The time to adopt low carbon operations across all sectors of the economy is urgent. To move from high carbon intense economy to a low carbon intense economy, finance is pivotal. To upscale, you need a combination of public, private, philanthropy partnership. Together we go farther. The operationalization of the Climate Change Fund that has been established by Section 15 of the Climate Change Act 2021 is paramount. It's important to drive this, providing the requisite funding, where funds from the National Assembly Appropriation, private funding, philanthropy, and multilateral funds like the Global Environment Facility, Green Climate Fund, the Loss and Damage Fund can be aggregated to address Nigeria's adaptation and mitigation needs. The theme for this year's summit, Unlocking Climate Finance for Sustainable Development, cannot be timelier. It speaks to the urgency of our national challenge and global opportunity. Nigeria is the most populous country in Africa and a key economic player, ranks among the most, again, like I said, climate vulnerable. The infrastructure decisions we take today shapes our environmental security, social cohesion, and economic resilience for decades to come. It should be made clear that Nigeria's decarbonization does not mean that our shift was stifling our development aspirations. On the contrary, it represents a pathway to a more resilient, diversified, and sustainable economy. The recent global stocktake under the Paris Agreement has made it unequivocally clear that the world is off track. Climate finance again remains insufficient. Adaptation efforts are hanging and lagging behind for half measures over. For Nigeria, this calls for recalibration and recommitment. It is no longer a question of whether to act, but how fast and how well. At the heart of the recalibration, my apologies, English is not our first language, is the just transition, a principle that Nigeria is implementing in line with national priorities and realities. Transitioning to a low-carbon economy must be equitable, inclusive, and anchored in the realities of our people. This includes protecting livelihoods, creating green jobs, and ensuring that women, youth, and marginalized, vulnerable communities are not left behind in this shift to sustainability. This is also in line with the renewed hope agenda of His Excellency, Mr. President, a bold national blueprint aimed at economic revitalization, social inclusion, and institutional reform. Climate action is not a parallel agenda. It is embedded within the renewed hope agenda. Decarbonized infrastructure, green innovation, and sustainable development are critical pillars of that vision and agenda. At the National Council on Climate Change Secretariat, our mandate is clear, our vision very, very precise. We serve as the coordinating body for Nigeria's climate action, integrating policies, aligning national efforts with international commitments, and ensuring that climate priorities are deeply embedded across the development landscape. Our role is to move Nigeria beyond rhetoric to results. As we speak, we're currently in the process of finalizing the Nigeria's Nationally Determined Contribution Third Generation NDC 3.0, a strategic instrument that will guide Nigeria's climate ambition for the coming years. The NDC 3.0 builds on past lessons, reflects updated data, and integrates new thematic areas, including nature-based solutions, circular economy, and subnational climate action. But more importantly, it reflects the aspirations of a country determined to perform and transform. In parallel, we are advancing the carbon market activation policy and manual of procedure, a key policy mechanism to enabling Nigeria's participation in Article 6 of the Paris Agreement. I urge us to use this platform to build alignment, co-create practical solutions, and mobilize the capital and cooperation needed to deliver on Nigeria's climate vision. The expected outcome of our deliberations over the next couple of hours is not just a set of recommendations, but a clear, actionable roadmap aiming to identify concrete, bankable decarbonizing projects across the key infrastructure sectors, including energy, transport, buildings, and industry. Forge strategic partnerships between government, the private sector, philanthropy, international organizations, and financial institutions. Mobilize significant climate finance, both domestic and international, by showcasing Nigeria's investment readiness and compelling the returns on sustainable infrastructure. Develop innovative finance mechanisms tailored to our national context, including blended finance and concessional climate instruments. Enhance capacity and knowledge sharing to accelerate the deployment of low-carbon technologies and climate-resilient infrastructure solutions. We thank our partners for an unwavering commitment and support to making this summit a reality. The time to act is now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please listen.
The Vice President, the Honorable Minister of Housing, the Honorable Minister of Livestock, the various heads of agencies gathered here today. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Your Excellency, in the interest of time, I think I will do away with my prepared speech. We've had opening remarks, we've had welcome remarks, and His Excellency actually has 3 other engagements this morning, all before 1 p.m. when he has to travel out of Abuja for another assignment. So I'd just like to lend my voice to thank the organizers of this summit and to acknowledge the hard work, Your Excellency, that has preceded this event in the last 3 months. We've had the virtual workshops leading up to this event. I've attended some of them. And Your Excellency, if you look at the program, there are about 45 panelists, each and every one of which is an authority in his field. So it's a very, very rare opportunity for us to discuss placing Nigeria firmly on the table in the climate change and especially the climate finance conversation. So we wish to express our thanks for all the hard work that has gone into this, from the DG of the NCCC to the special assistants in your office, Zainab, Musaddiq, and Shuda, for working very, very hard to put this together. And of course, Your Excellency, for your support in encouraging them to put together something which we never ever expected would be this grand. So with this, Your Excellency, I think I will skip the protocols, and it is my singular honor and privilege to invite His Excellency, the Vice President, to formally come and declare this summit open.
If we fail to adjust emerging threats to the world as we know it, and this event is one such ambition, unless our climate dreams shake hands with the development realities we face every single day, we are going to leave behind a nation that will struggle to compete or catch up with the world. This is why I'm excited to share with you the promise of this day. We have had quite a number of box-checking ceremonies, and we must never treat this as such. The climate question is Nigeria's front line of truth. And the truth is that we can no longer build yesterday's infrastructure for tomorrow's Nigeria. The truth is that climate action is not a luxury. It is an economic necessity. The theme of this summit, Unlocking Climate Finance for Sustainable Development, will not be more apt. We are faced with a task that is both urgent and immense. We are more than ever challenged to decouple our development from the carbon-intensive models of the past, and to do so without leaving any Nigerian behind. This summit is inspired by the awareness that we can no longer afford to treat sustainability and profitability as two separate pursuits. This is a product, as rightly said by the Chief of Staff, by the Deputy Chief of Staff, of months of consultations, regional dialogues, and technical deep dives. That is why it reflects our belief that the path to net zero by 2060 must be paved with concrete actions, not convenient rhetoric. Our Energy Transition Plan and Climate Change Act have together created a roadmap that is both visionary and pragmatic. Perhaps the ultimate aspiration or inspiration we need is realization that 75% of our greenhouse gas emissions as a nation come from infrastructure sectors: energy, transport, urban development, and agriculture. These sectors are not just carbon heavy, they are also the economic arteries of the nation. Nigeria's energy demand is projected to triple by 2040. By 2050, when it is projected that our population will be the third largest in the world, more than 70% of our projected population of 440 million will reside in cities. And today, agriculture supports 70% of rural livelihoods. These figures, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, are a wake-up call for a nation that discerns. The ticket out of this predicted doom is decarbonizing these systems. This is how we can alter our trajectory. If we do this right, we stand to generate over 1.5 million green jobs by 2035. We can also cultivate new export markets in clean energy and climate-smart agriculture, which will transform Nigeria into a regional leader in low-carbon enterprise. Honorable Ministers, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we are not here to fantasize. We are here to finance, to mobilize, to de-risk, to build. The Nigeria we want cannot be realized on diesel generators and fragile grids. It will not emerge from a model that chokes our lungs while draining our treasury. We must build a Nigeria whose infrastructure heals rather than harms. This is why we must strengthen our regulatory frameworks. This is why we must harmonize policy across sectors and tiers. This is why we must launch tools like the Green Investment Portal to connect capital to climate-smart opportunities. This is why we must have our states, such as our representative from Kano, at the forefront of this march to the future, to show that decarbonization must not stop at Abuja's gates. It must reach every local government, every community, every home. But we know this transition must be just. It must not push the poor further into the margins. It must not become another story of exclusion. This is why inclusiveness of gender, of youth, and vulnerable communities is not an afterthought. The DG of our climate change has secondly captured the essence of this conversation. This is also an opportunity for us to unveil a compelling white paper that proves with evidence and enterprise that decarbonizing container ports is not just a sound climate policy, but a viable business. It is the future arriving at our doorstep. On a port, for instance, was already emerging as a template for our quest to breathe life into a robust green economy. Discussions are currently underway with private investors to commit nearly $60 million to electrify the port and transform it into Nigeria's first green port. This is a strategic leap. Through an integrated hybrid system, we will phase out dependency, slash carbon emissions, and provide 24/7 sustainable and affordable power to terminal operators and port users. Indeed, our destination is net zero, but our journey is deeply local. This is why we are launching a State Innovation Challenge Fund, why we are hosting quarterly state engagement clinics, and why we are opening up the space for innovators, startups, and universities to shape the solutions that will define Nigeria's green century. We cannot afford, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, to leave this summit with bullet points and buzzwords. We are here for bankable projects. We are here because the world is shifting. I just came back from Ethiopia. I saw one of the green wonders of the world. In the last 5 years, Ethiopia, under the able leadership of Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed Ali, they were able to plant 40 billion trees. 40 billion trees. It's not a small people. This is not a story. I was part of the engagement. I saw it live. I visited the countryside, a changing landscape. In 1896, Menelik II was able to give Africans a sense of pride. The Ethiopians walked for 4 months to Adawa. 120,000 Ethiopians, they were able to stand up, they stood up to Italian forces of 20,000 and defeated for the first time a European power in an African soil. 100 years later, a reincarnated Menelik III is on African soil. My trip to Ethiopia was an inspiring trip. Honestly, if Nigeria and Ethiopia can get their acts right, Africa will rise again. Nigeria has a population of 230 million. Ethiopia has 130 million. The two of us are more popular than the United States. And our success story will serve as a blueprint. We will have the domino effect in the whole of Africa. Markets are watching, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Our choices today will determine whether we lead, follow, or fall behind. Thank you for your attention, and God bless us all.
Your Excellency, we will ask that you just
the Minister of State for Finance, as she also joins the Vice President of State. Please, a round of applause.
And we also especially welcome the representative of the Honorable Minister of Environment, Dr. Yongo Abiola Awe, Director, Department of Climate Change, the Federal Ministry of Environment. We also want to specially appreciate Dr. Dairu Mohammed Hashim, Honorable Commissioner, Kano State Ministry of Environment. You're welcome, sir.
Members of the Steering Committee, the Hydrographer of the Federation,
I think some should go to the other side. Just make sure you can see the photographer. If not, it's possible he's not seeing you.